Do you remember Haliey Welch and the viral Hawk video? Of course you do. Remember her television appearances, podcasts, and countless other opportunities that she was able to develop? The meme literally sent her to the top of mindshare, and it changed her life. All it took was an unfortunate misstep to suddenly need to go silent. And it really took the sails out of momentum in her career. And I want to be clear that I'm not bashing Haliey in this video whatsoever. I'm glad that she's back creating and that the legal stuff is behind her. It's an unfortunate situation, and I simply want to illustrate what happened. Situations like this put many creators on edge, wondering whether something like this can happen to them. We've seen countless creators over the years fall into really tricky PR situations. Think Dr. Disrespect, PewDiePie, Dr. Lupo, Logan Paul, Mr. Beast, and countless more. Some situations may be fueled by legality issues, while others arise from gaffes or misjudgments or misunderstandings altogether. So in this video, we're going to talk about a risk that many creators face and how to minimize the chances of this situation happening in your own career. But before we get into it, we got to start with a quick disclaimer. My dog's barking. 1 second. My name is Rustin. I'm a financial advisor. I work exclusively with content creators to help them manage their money and become confident business owners. As a reminder, this video is not personalized financial, legal, accounting, or any other type of professional advice. Please seek a qualified professional before making any financial decisions. Also, if you like this video and want to see more content about money and business management as it relates to content creators, consider subscribing to the channel. I do appreciate it. All right, with that out of the way, the risk I'm referring to in this video is best described as reputational risk. As we've all seen, these situations can unravel extremely quickly and cause a ton of damage, even if there is nothing inherently wrong with what the creator did. And every single time this happens, it sucks so bad to watch. Reputational risk can arise from 4 primary things. You've got ethical missteps or scandals, legal issues, social misjudgments, or not managing PR responses well. Before I became an advisor, I managed creator campaigns on the brand side. I remember whenever I first got into the role working with creators, my boss told me that working with creators is like working in a mini version of Hollywood. It's an incredible industry. I love working with creators. And it also has moments that make my stomach churn. Those two things exist at the same time. And look, some reputational risk is nearly impossible to avoid. If you grow to any size, there will always be people that hate you just for breathing, that don't like how you come across in videos, or that misunderstand a social post and immediately assume the worst intention. This can fall into maybe that social misjudgments or bad PR categories, but it's really inevitable. It's something that you just kind of have to steel yourself for. This is a really unfortunate part of being a public figure that humans weren't really meant to have to deal with. For these cases, having a strong support network and being transparent with people close to you about your mental state is really the best advice that I can bring. And I guess at a certain size, you could hire a PR person or a community manager to review posts before you send them to try and minimize misjudgments or posts being read incorrectly. But I also get why people would not really like that workflow either. And in Haliey's example, her reputational risk hit 3 categories, maybe all 4 depending on who you ask. So let's go through it. Was the situation with the crypto token that she consulted for unethical? Well, what the developers did certainly was. And some may argue that launching a token altogether is unethical, but that's a different conversation for a different time. I don't personally hold that opinion, but I understand why some people do. The second piece was launching the token illegal. It doesn't really appear like it. The Securities and Exchange Commission eventually closed its inquiry with no enforcement action, and no charges were brought forth by the FBI. However, the impression across socials was that she launched a token and then rugged the holders, extracting all of the money from normal, everyday people. Even though there was no enforcement action, the perception of an illegal action alone was enough to cause immense backlash. And I get it, people lost a lot of money. And the lawsuit affected her regardless of the outcome of the lawsuit. I'm sure that there were costs, both monetary and otherwise, that she accrued just for being named in that lawsuit. We all have to remember that the appearance of impropriety is often as bad as actual impropriety. And then onto the third, was there a social misjudgment? Yes. Anytime you place your name, identity, likeness on anything that you don't control, you open yourself up to some degree of reputational risk. And I'm not sure whether Haliey was working with any mentors or advisors, but if I were in their shoes and were advising her, I would have strongly urged her to reconsider moving forward on a crypto token launch. Like, I get it, the memes, the hype, all of that stuff sounds great, but there's a immense amount of risk. And so having counsel may have prevented her from being caught up in this tricky situation, though sometimes you just get wrecked by people's greed. And that's sometimes difficult to know when you're working with a brand new team, especially when you're working on things that are technical that you may not fully understand. And then the last, what about mismanaged PR? Did that occur here? Yep, absolutely. And it happens in many situations with creators when they're on the wrong end of the social spotlight. Our instinct as humans is to defend ourselves, especially when we feel like we've done nothing wrong. The downside is that social media becomes a pitchfork holding mob ready to overpower any attempt at a reasonable conversation. This is why the largest and the wisest creators often go quiet for days or even weeks before responding to some kind of social backlash. Sometimes it's best to just let the mob die down, take their pitchforks somewhere else, and then come back to the discussion after all of the dust has settled. The social and the legal backlash can be very expensive, both financially and mentally. So how do you mitigate that cost as a creator? Apart from being cautious to avoid reputational damage altogether, there are two general options for creators to protect themselves. The first is to have mentors and a support system. This could be a business mentor, an attorney, or other person who can help you watch out for potential issues and navigate them if they do arise. The second, as boring as it sounds, is there's literally insurance for this. It's called media liability insurance or media entertainment liability insurance. This type of insurance can help pay for legal costs and lost income. And for most creators, this is often the highest priority for their businesses because the majority of risk for most creator businesses is reputational. If you're curious to learn more about managing risk and insurance as a content creator, go check out another video that I made covering this more in depth. I'll put a card up there somewhere. The primary thing that I want to stress in this video is the importance of finding that support team before you actually need them. Remember that chaos loves desperation. So find a business mentor, an attorney, or other advisors fairly early before you're desperate, before you need them, even if you don't think that you'll need them for a while. My personal opinion is that most creators would benefit from building this type of support network when they're at, the 20,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, or once they're generating about $5,000 a month. This isn't really a hard and fast rule, and the time to reach out really depends on the platform and the type of content that you make, but that's just to provide some semblance of a benchmark. The big takeaway here is to not try to do it all alone. Content creation is a lonely career, even though you're surrounded by people, fans, and you're perpetually online. So get that support structure before you end up needing it. Spend the time to develop a trusted team, and it will increase the likelihood of your success, or at least the minimization of mental and financial chaos. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.